Morning, você.
Morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks. And how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I think other colleagues are coming, ne?
Yes, I believe so because we were notified yesterday that we should be logging in exactly at 9 today.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, I guess we wait 5 more minutes and we'll start, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, can you see my video?
No, I don't see anything. It's dark. I don't see anything, but even now.
Okay, let me see what I can do because I was trying to get in as a host and I was unable. So, but luckily you guys can hear me. I think that's the most important thing. Apologies for that. I don't know why this thing is not showing. Okay, I'll get back to you guys in 5 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Will be offline. Probably on the other side. But then I'm doing it, it's getting me like, wow. Meeting is being recorded.
Morning, everyone, once again.
Morning.
Morning, how are you guys?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for availing yourself for our first class. I guess we gave a few more minutes, and if we still have colleagues coming, I think they can still join us. I can see that we are 9 participants here, and you are supposed to have more, but we can start our section. So before we start our sections, maybe you guys can introduce yourself a bit so that I can familiarize myself with the people that I will be working with during those few days that you're going to be together. Just say your name and your background in terms of your education career and your work if you are working. Thank you. I will start by myself. My name is Maximino Costumado, and I'm a lecturer here in our department. I'm also a researcher on the site, and I'm also pursuing, let's say, finalize at this present moment my PhD in community development, specifically in the area of food safety and the implications of foodborne diseases for community health in urban areas of South Africa. So I think That's me. And so the stage is open. So who want to come next? Yes, colleagues.
Good morning,
Yes,
everyone.
morning.
My name is Daisy. Little is my surname.
Mm-hmm.
I work at Department of Rural Development and Land Reform as a project officer.
Okay.
And I do research on land claims which were lodged between 1994 and 1998. I
Okay.
have a Bachelor of Arts degree from University of Limpopo.
Okay. That's wonderful. And thank you, Daisy, for your introduction.
Yes.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Morning, colleagues. My name is
Morning.
Linda Dwendlazi. I work for King Cetshwayo District Municipality Community Services under the Arts, Culture and Heritage unit. I'm responsible for all cultural events for the King Cetshwayo District Municipality and heritage programs. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Linda.
Morning, colleagues. Morning, Mr. Maximino.
Morning, morning.
Morning.
You pronounce well my name. Thank you.
Okay, you're speaking to Kukule Tumbata. I'm a public participation practitioner at Semadlangeni Local Municipality and Community Services Department.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Someone else?
Good morning. Morning.
Morning, morning.
My name is Vusi Villane from King Cetshwayo District Municipality. I work as governance and IGR in the office of the municipal manager. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Vusi.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, everyone. My name is Nkangweleni Nembanjeni from Limpopo province.
Okay.
I studied from the University of Venda, doing an honors degree in gender studies. Currently,
Okay.
I'm working in Limpopo. I'm working for the Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, and Land Reform.
Okay, so
under restitution, where we are processing the land claims.
Mm-hmm.
The land claims were lodged in 1998. That's what I'm doing apparently.
Wow. So, and how is the outcome? Are people getting their lands? Or we are still facing a lot of bureaucracy on the process?
Not really. We are trying. It's only that the process is just challenging on its own.
Okay, I can imagine there's a quite number of beneficiaries and it's a big struggle.
Yes, more especially if there are overlapping claims where they are found fighting for the boundaries. Because we find about 10 communities claiming one farm, so it needs more of negotiations and compromising.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Good morning, colleagues.
Yes, good morning.
My name is Lindy Wemtunu. I'm from Durban. By profession, I'm a social worker. I studied a social science from UNISA University. I worked as a social worker for many, many years. Then I got interested in community development. I applied for the post. I got the post for the community development supervisor. Now I'm working as a community development supervisor. That is why now I'm doing this course for community development, just to get more knowledge on community development. Thank you.
That's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh, we are all introduced. Oh, good morning.
Morning, colleagues. My name is Keta Kumalo, currently located in Edward District Municipality under Community Development in the sports unit.
Okay. Oh, that's wonderful. You are the last one, Keta? I think so. As morning.
Sorry, Tolagele Mate. I'm working at Department of Arts and Culture as a cultural officer in Peter Marisbeck. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tokale. As we can see from our introduction, we all come from different professional backgrounds, and I can see that we are involved in different positions, and we have people here with quite an experience in let's say community development. And I think someone wants to talk. Okay, so I was saying that's very interesting, because it actually will help us with our assignment, because one of the ideas that the assignment that I came up with my section is really to divulge on the content that we are going to discuss here, based in specific projects that you guys are familiarized with. So I will explain further about the assignment, perhaps, when I'm totally clear that that's going to be the draft, because I'm still discussing with my colleagues in terms of the content of the assignment. But as soon that I have the green card, I will have a section with you guys to really engage in terms of clarifications and stuff. So don't worry about that. But I'm happy that we are very diverse in terms of our experience, and my hope is that during our class we can reflect and comment in wherever we are discussing based on those reflections that we have from our communities, because we are also community members, and we know what our communities out there are facing, and we know the type of interventions all those different organizations and stakeholders are involved in order to improve the lives of people who are in need. So I will try to share my screen now, so that let me just try to share my screen. Okay. Okay. Sorry guys, I have some issues here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I will try to share my screen once again. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see now? Can you guys see?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Okay, so just a second. Let me just start by the first page. This module is basically what we call project management and sustainability, right? And basically, the time is not enough to cover all the different important aspects about project management, but what we'll try to do is try to condense information that we found that is relevant for us to understand the basics of project management and how we can apply all the different skills and knowledge somehow in our project endeavors. So for this specific session, we are going to discuss issues around organizational arrangements and project governance. And some of the issues that we are going to be discussing here is what exactly is the idea around project-based and organizational structures and arrangements, and we are going to speak about some of the benefits of a project-based approach, because we know different organizations they might have performing regular activities which are not projects based on what we know about the definition of a project, but the idea is to understand what really is the benefits of implementing intervention based on that project-based approach. And of course, we are going to discuss about some of the different types of organizational structures. When we think about our organizations, we know that the way that things are done, the positions and skills of people are all condensed in a specific format. So those type of formats, and I believe that we can familiarize ourselves when we discuss about the different types of organizational structures, and of course some of the other issues that we are going to discuss is issues around governance and all those different governance institutions and governments or organizations, and how they are important linked with project management. So as an introductory point, I think it's important for all of us to know that all the different organizations, they should be able to align their projects into existing structures, process, and procedures. What we are saying here is all all the different projects that we need to implement in our organizations. Those projects, they should be aligned somehow with the vision and the existing mission of that specific organization. We cannot be doing things that is out of our jurisdiction, somehow, let's put in that way. And when we think about organizational change and arrangement, we are saying that we are trying to accommodate better project management methodologies in our project. What we are trying to say is we are trying to identify better practice, better capabilities that we can use so that our projects can be successful implemented based on the budget and the time that were approved previously, right? So that's, I think it's one just a step of an introductory. And before we move on, I think it's important for us to discuss the concept of the project management, because I think is the core of our module here. And I have here this specific definition that I would like someone to read to me and perhaps explain in a different with different use of words based on their understanding. Any volunteer, please? Any volunteer colleagues just to read to us loud the definition here?
Project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities by the process of defining, planning, controlling, and closing project activities, and motivating the people within the parameters of scope, time, cost, and quality. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And in other words, what can we understand by project management based on that idea? Anyone? Anyone, colleague?
I think it's mostly overlooking all aspects that contribute into a success of a project. Every little aspect, from the financial aspects to the marketing of the project, engagement with the members, and so forth.
Okay, thank you. I like that part of all aspects of that you said. Before I speak, anyone else wants to share any more ideas?
I would say project management is a coordination of milestone activity and the deliverable to achieve objective.
Okay, project objectives in this case, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful, and I think you guys are all right. And basically, I think project management is the idea behind what the different when we speak about knowledge, skills, tool, and techniques. Here that we are saying that is the set of all those different things as our colleague, and that includes people, right? That also includes tools, different tools that we can use so that it can facilitate the implementation of those specific projects, because as we know, projects are temporary activities. So if we have a temporary activities, the challenges might arise very easily. So with project management, which have been evolved during the times, all those different tools that we have and the expertise of people, it will help us actually achieve those beautiful projects that we have on our shoulder. So when we think about project-based organizational structures and arrangement, here the idea is we are talking about organizations that, although they have their routine and their regular activities that have been performing, let's say, continuously, we have those specific activities that all the different organizations, I'm assuming that everyone have been familiar with that. All those different organizations, they have those temporary activities that we have time of start and we have a time of end. So how project-based organization look like? But basically what we are saying here is the idea of project-based organization is what we are doing is we are using projects to execute all those different goals that we have in our organization. As I was saying again, doesn't mean that our routine and regular activity, they are not really happening, but using projects, we are also are trying to achieve those expected goals and those expected visions of our organizations. And successful project management efforts are always the result of modern management practice. Right, and when we say successful project management are a result of modern management practice, what are some of the characteristics of modern management practice that you guys think you guys are familiar with? Can someone tell me some of those characteristics that we can find when we say successful project management efforts are the result of modern management practice? What type of modern management practice? What are we talking about here? Anyone, colleagues? Anyone? Think about your organization, and I'm sure that you guys are using some of those modern management practice. And I think if you have to think about modern management practice, I think one of the points that we can find is there's a big involvement and collaboration between different intervenients with different stakeholders, and I think that can be one of the characteristics. The participation of stakeholders in that process must be important. I'm not really only talking about the staff of those specific projects, but the stakeholders it's themselves, including beneficiaries of our project. So when we think about project management in our new modern era, we know that we need to involve other stakeholders in that process. But I have here a slide that show to us some of those characteristics of modern project management activities, right? So some of those the focus of modern project management is to achieve the planned outcomes, right? We plan different activities and we intend to, we are goal oriented somehow, right? And if you think about modern project management activities, as I was saying, there's a participation of multiple stakeholders. I already spoke about that, right? Our activities, if you have to think about your place of work and how those different project activities have been conducted, you will find out that those activities need to be implemented in line with the time frame, right? The expected and planned budget, and within the quality frame that was established during the planning, right? So those are some of the modern project management characteristics that if you have to think about, and if you go in different projects, you'll find the same type of features in all those different
It's quiet on my side. I can't hear anything.
Even to my side.
Same
I
here.
don't know.
project management activities. You will also find that organizations are always trying to engage in activities that are clean, in activities that can promote
Guys, I think we've got a problem with the sound. I'm not sure if it's me. Kindly assist.
Yeah, I think it's a lecture connection. It's very poor. Because it's like we can't hear him, all of us.
Sandy,
Hello?
yeah, niyaphila colleagues, do something, mazise noma raise isandla mhlawumbe uzobona zama ukuthi abone because asimuzwa sonke.
projects might be planned, but the implementation of those projects might be deficit due to different circumstances, and if you have to think about our country and how governance structure are important, think about all those different corruption scandals that we are familiar with, and how resources that were supposed to be allocated in specific projects are being deviated to different other activities that were not planned. So if you think about a modern project management feature, you will see that those will be some of those characteristics that you find in majority of those projects, right? So when we think about organizational arrangement and structures, basically what we are saying is all those different support systems that are there to make sure that our projects can be run in a very effective way, and the desired outcomes can be achieved. And organizational arrangement and structures, it's not only about the people themselves, but all those different other resources that we need, and the links that we have between the different departments. For example, if you have to look to this specific figure here, you can see that this is an example of an organizational structure of a specific organization, where somehow you have the different positions within the organizations with specific tasks. You can see, for example, the lines of leadership in that specific organization. So if you can look to that, you can see how somehow how things in that specific organization are done. If you have to think about the different type of activities, you can see that they are also here included, and the different and the specific responsible people who needs to be oversee those activities are here. So this is what somehow we can also see as organizational structure, in a way that it will show us the different let's say stakeholders and their respective positions, and including the departments and the activities that might be running in that specific place. Any comments, colleagues, clarifications?
No, Doc. I think half of your lecture, half of just what you've said, we missed it because your connection is on and off. I'm not sure if it's only me, but some of our colleagues were complaining about it too.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry, but can you guys see my slides? I think I'm not sure. Maybe the connection is off. I will try to speak louder so that everyone can understand. And I hope that you guys are listening now. Is that clear now? Should I move on? Okay, thank you.
Can you please
Okay.
make screen, please? Can you please make the slides full screen?
Oh, okay. Let me do that. Is it better now?
I'm trying to look for that option on your slideshow. Yeah.
It's a slideshow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. From current side, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Still coming here from my side. Still coming. Oh, it's taking long now.
Okay, if it doesn't work, then you can go back to.
Okay, let's see more. Okay. Okay. I'm afraid that if I have to stop it, it will take some more time to come back. Okay. Okay. Let me just, okay. Okay, while we wait for this, organizational arrangements and structures, guys, as I was saying, are very crucial in a way that it helps us plan our projects accordingly. Because if you don't have, let's say, the qualified people to be part of your project, you might face constraints to successful implementing that project, right? If you don't have different other, okay, let me see. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Okay, I think we are okay. So, can you guys see the screens now?
No, nothing on the screen, sir.
You cannot see my screen.
No.
Oh, okay. Let me. Okay, let me just see if I can share it again. Okay. Apologies for those. Okay, so I'm trying to open the screen now. Let's see from the current slide.
Yeah.
Can you guys see now?
No, it's fine.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. Okay, okay. So, we were talking about organizational structures and why it's important. So when we initiate our projects, one of the most important things that we are going to do at the beginning is to form the organization structure, right? We have to have the brains and the resources and the tools that we need so that we can achieve the goals and the desired outcomes of our project. And when we think about project organization structure, one of the important things, as I was saying, it's about the skills and the background of those people. Think about yourself. Think about the positions that you guys are working. I believe that one of the colleagues here, they told us that she was a community development supervisor, right? And if that colleague of ours, I forgot her name, if she was not skilled enough to be in that specific position, to conduct specific tasks, I'm sure that the activities and the project that she's involved could somehow face deficits to be implemented in a very successful way. So when we think about organization structure and forming that structure, it's very important to think about the skills and who are going to work in the different departments of that specific project, because the project it's a set of different activities who needs to be done by specific people with specialized knowledge. So division of labor, it's important. because we cannot put keep someone who has specific skills doing different other activities. This is definitely will be a failure, right? So it's very important to think about the background of the people so that the division of labor can be done accordingly, so that everyone can be work where he is skilled to do the work that he is supposed to do, right? And when we think about forming an organizational structure, it's also important to think about who are going to be the lines of the authority, who are going to be the leaders of that project, because all those different projects that we have, we need to know who are going to be the project manager, who are going to be the different project officers who are going to conduct activities in the field, how the lines of communications in that specific project are going to be done. Who am I going to answer to if I have questions regarding my line of work? So all those different things needs to be catered for at the beginning when we are trying to form our organizational structure. It's also important to think about the values and the culture of the people who are going to work there, because of course one thing is to think about the professional background of people, right? Our expertise and so on. But the other thing is also to think about the values and culture of those people, because people who are going to work with us, we need to understand where those people are coming from. For example, imagine, for example, you have a project, it's a food security project where you have people who have to work with specific types of food products which are against their own culture, and that can somehow bring limitations to the success of the project. And when we think about spans of control, what we are saying here is how the system in that organization are created. Do I have controls? Do I have control systems in that specific organization? How do we deal with our finances? Do we have softwares to deal with our finances? How do we deal with logistics and procurement? Do we have tools in our organization that are going to help us achieve our objectives in the planned time frame, within the budget and the quality that we plan? So when you are forming that potential organizational structure, those are some of the issues that we are going to need to cater for. And for more details about some of those issues that I was talking here, you guys can go and see the paper by Cristobal and Diaz, and it's one of our assigned readings. And there's a table that it explains some of those issues that I was here trying to talk. Any questions, colleagues, and comments? Should I move on? Hello, colleagues. Hello, colleagues. Are we together?
Yes, we're together. We can move.
Okay, thank you. Okay, And when we think about organizational structure, it's as I was saying, it's not only about we deal with different people and different positions and conducting different activities. So in our projects, we need to deal with interfaces within the organizations, which means that the organization itself is going to have procedures and that they need to cater for before things needs to be done correctly. And when you think about project interface 2, somehow you have interaction between the technical side of your organization and the functional side of the organization. Let's say, for example, you are conducting a community development project that you need to somehow to distribute food pampers for vulnerable communities, and somehow in that regard you need to interact with your technical staff, perhaps from the IT and the data analysis department, and those are the people that are going to provide you with information about who are your beneficiaries if you want to go to a specific location to distribute that food. So in that regard, you also have interface between people. You have interface between departments, right? You have a specific department dealing with other department. You also have to think about how people themselves will engage with each other. So all those things are important, especially at the beginning when we are trying to set the organizational structure that will oversee that specific project. So let's think about the benefits of a project-based approach. Why do we implement projects somehow? We implement projects because we can see that it can provide us with process improvement, right? Every project is a different endeavor of activities. So every project has different goals. So if you have different projects in our organizations, that can actually help our organizations improve their process, how they do things, which are the different technologies that they use. So it can also improve reputations. Think about, for example, organizations such as one of the famous one here in South Africa that we have during this pandemic time, I think is, if I recall, it's called Giving Hands. If I'm right, I think you guys have heard about that one, right? It's called Giving Hands, and they've done such a great work with supporting vulnerable communities in our country. And you can see with their work, their reputation also have increased. They have been receiving congratulations from the government, from international audience. So projects can bring that reputation that we are claiming for, because if we done correctly, if we plan our project correctly, if we have the right people, the right structure, the right tools, the right software, we know that our project will be conducted successful, right? And another benefit of a project-based approach is that it can help us and share resource. Think about all those different partnerships that we do with organizations, and how different units even within our organizations and even other stakeholders who are partners with our organizations, and how they are benefiting from those projects through coordination and resource sharing. And resource sharing here, we are not only talking about financial resources. We can also talk about sharing material resources and know-how, expertise. So projects can help us achieve some of those advantage as we can see. Any questions, colleagues, clarifications? Okay. I won't go through what sustainable development is, because that topic will be covered by Dr. Emma in your last class. But just to connect with what we are trying to say, we know sustainable development it's a concept itself that have gained momentum. Not from current days, but back to the 80s, right? And when we think about sustainable development, what we are trying to say is we need to cater for our current needs without compromising our future generations' needs. And think about our organizations. Think about our place of work. How can we make sure that our communities, they can have a great life when they are living today while protecting what our future generations can have? And that's the idea about sustainable development. And when we think about sustainable development, the most important things that we are thinking about is how can we make our economy more sustainable, more rational, more affordable to anyhow? How can we make sure that our society are living together in a peaceful manner? How can we make sure that our environment are being utilized in a very sustainable way, so that all the resources that we have today, they can be guaranteed to the next generation? So if you look to organizational structure and how the different sets of activities of people needs to be aligned, you will see that it's very important that we find the right people to be placed in the right positions, so that that agenda of sustainable development can be achieved, and we can all contribute to that agenda, because the world itself is in need of better plan of actions, so that we can move from that disgrace state that we have natural resource that are almost extinct. We are facing climate change, and you name it. And I'm sure that we are all familiar with those issues that we are facing, right? And just to give you guys a glimpse, the Sustainable Development Agenda is based in what we call today Sustainable Development Goals. And prior we had the Millennium Development Goals that the entire world had agreed upon. But nowadays, we are trying to achieve what we call the Sustainable Development Goals by 2013. So do you guys think we are going to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2013? Let's think about South Africa, for example. Yes, colleagues? Yes, colleagues?
Yes, sir.
I was asking, we are all familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals somehow, right?
Yes.
So I just want to hear your quick opinion. Do you guys think we are going to achieve? Let's think about South Africa. Do you guys think those 17 goals will be achieved by 2030?
According to my opinion, I don't think so. Looking at the South Africa economy, I don't think it will
Okay.
be achieved. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
I also do not think
Yes.
so, Doc. Looking at the political challenges that we currently have, yeah, we've got a lot of challenges as a country. Your political, your economical challenges.
Okay. Okay. Let's focus, for example, let's think about only one, for example, which is making sure that every citizen in our country can have access to food. What things do you guys think are missing in terms of, if you have to think about organizational structure, what is missing so that, because South Africa, for example, we have enough food for everyone, but the problem is, I think, is unequal distribution, right? So what do you guys think is missing if you have to think about organizational structure of a specific organization that is responsible to provide food? What is missing, guys?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Talk about the human resource, talking about the people. Do we really have people or who are skilled to perform the task? Do we have the skilled personnel?
Okay.
Because if you look at what is currently happening, it's like we have people, but in terms of the skills and also, I will use this word, the brains and so on. I don't think we are going far with whatever we are doing.
At 12:30, she requests to be here.
Okay. 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 Anyone else?
Good morning, colleague.
Morning.
Good morning.
According to me, what is missing? One, our the loss of handouts. That's what I can say. People are unable to do things for themselves, especially if they've got land. They don't want to use it because they rely to government a lot. So it might change. Some things are changing. For example, people are not using all these handouts, but they know how to do things for themselves. So, like using the land they have in order to generate some of the economy for the South Africans. That's what I can say.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, colleague. Great idea. Anyone else?
Yes, it's Kukusha. I think what is lacking is the authority, responsibility, and leadership. Because when you talk about food distribution, you said that one of the constraints or challenges is the just inequality in distribution. So if we can have somebody in authority and leadership who will who will share the same vision and strategy and also try to improve our safety and consider all the factors, so that without proper leadership and authority, currently there's this thing of who does the land belong to, but who works the land? Those who works the land, they don't benefit nothing from the land. So if we have strong leadership and authority, I think we can come.
Okay. And just to add to what you say, if we go back to what we say here in this slide, we can see when we think about organizational structure, one of the important things actually is leadership, right? In line with what you said, if we don't have good leaders in specific positions, that can make sure that that organization can run their projects accordingly, we are going to fail. And I think it makes sense with what you say. Any more colleagues before we move on?
I just want to talk about our system. What I see is that when you talk about the structure, you also mentioned the issue of the span of control. So I would say our systems here in South Africa are not controlled.
Okay.
So it's one of those things that are causing challenges if we talk about the issue of
Okay, thank you, colleagues. I think those are some of the issues that we have that we are going to discuss further. So when you think about organization structure, one of the tools we spoke here about people's skills, but we also spoke about some tools that we can use when we are thinking about organizational arrangement, and one of those tools is what we call organizational chart, which is a graphic that display the different functional areas. Such, for example, here you can see when we are forming our organizational structure, we have here one tool that can help us define that line of authorities and that line of work and the different functions. And here, for example, you can see we have what we call the horizontal chart, and we have what we call the vertical chart. And here we can see how the lines of authorities and leaderships flow. We can assume that all those different positions that we see here, they play different roles that are needed for that specific organization, so that their projects can be implemented correctly. Another thing that we have is what we call organizational breakdown structure, which is something almost similar to what we call also organizational chart, and it really shows all those different activities that I was referring to. And speaking about organizational structure, again, it's very important to speak about division of labor. Who are going to do what, right? We cannot put people in positions that they are not ready to lead or to be part of. That can somehow put constraints to our project. We have to think about departmentalization. What is departmentalization? It's about when we are forming those organizational structures, we have to distribute activities based on their departments, specific departments for specific department activities, right? The lines of command are important. Who are the leaders? Who are going to be the supervisors? Who are going to be the project officers? all of those issues are important. So I'm going to stop sharing this slide because I want us to pay attention to that video that I want to share now, which speaks about the types of organizational structures that we can find. So give me some, let me just, okay. 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 The network today is a mess, guys. I don't know why. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
I will just share with you guys.
Hi, does the video have any sound?
No, it doesn't.
The video does not have sound.
Oh, okay. Let me see why. Okay. Let me see. I'm sure it's somewhere. Do you guys, can you help me here? Anyone? It's an IT guru here to help me put in the sound. I'm not sure why, because I can hear from my side. Okay. No sound yet?
No.
No sound.
I think it's between your mic and the sound from the screen. So I'm not sure how you can mute yourself so that the sound is directed to the screen.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, ne? Let me see what can happen here. Okay, let me see here. Okay, oh, I'm not sure why. Let me see here.
Can you try and mute your mic? Your own
Try
mic.
to mute my mic.
Yes.
Okay.
And then play the video. No, we can't hear anything. Still. Okay, unmute yourself, sir. We can't hear anything from the screen.
Okay, wonderful. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Let me just go back because I have actually those two. Okay, wonderful. So, talking about types of project organizational structures, we say that project organizational structures are there to support the implementation of the projects, right? And can be people, can be the tools that we use, and all the different set of things that we need. So when we think about the types of project organizational structure, we have mainly three types of project organizational structures. We have what we call the functional or hierarchical organizational structure. We have what we call the project-based organizational structure, and we have what we call the matrix organizational structure. All those three different structures, they have their own features that we are going to discuss further. But one of the things that we need to consider when we think about organizational structure is the physical constraints of the project is one of the things that we need to think about, and how the project and where the project will be conducted. The market conditions, it's also one thing that it's very important when we think about organizational structures. Is the market ready for our activities? Do we have the necessary logistics and so on to conduct all those different required activities such as procurement? So in organizational structure, those are some of the issues that we need to think. And of course, design an organizational structure is not an easy task. That's one thing, as we have been discussing here, and issues around working with people. It's not bringing people together. Think about your work team and some of the difficulties that you might have faced working with specific people because of perhaps their personal views on things or their professional views on things. So organizational structure and designing an organizational structure is not a easy task to do, right? And sometimes we need to make changes and think about all those different projects that we are familiar with, and how things have changed because of, for example, budget constraints and sometimes also staff shortage. And we know in South Africa, one of the issues that I think it's a big controversy, we face with this dilemma. Somehow we have high rates of unemployment, right? We have so many young people who are not working, but somehow we are also dealing with a skills shortage, right? So and think about how that can affect a process of designing an organizational structure. When you say, I need specific people to work in specific tasks, and you say, okay, I can go to the market and I will find people to work. But the dilemma is people doesn't know how to do those jobs. You know, so those are some of the issues that you will find when you think about designing an effective organizational structure process. And of course, it's always important, and I'm always going to remind you guys about that. It's always important to think about the coordination system, how the communication process are being done, and how is the control system have been done. So those are some of the issues that we need to think about when we think about organization structure. And to design organizational structure also, we need to think about multiple perspectives, right? Because projects, they have different needs. So different needs require different actions. So when we design those different organizational structures, those are some of the issues that we need to have in mind. So speaking now about all those different organizational structure, we spoke about the functional one or the hierarchical. So hierarchical functional structure, what's the idea behind hierarchical functional structure? So when we think about hierarchical functional structure, think about organization where we have staff that is grouped based on fields of specialization, right? If you have the finance department, the people who are going to work in the financial department, they all have a background, let's put it that way, in the finance. If you have the IT department, you have people only with those specific skills. And the projects that are implemented based on that type of organizational structure are run by those specific departments, right? Let's say the department of IT, for example, they want to install a new intelligence platform in a way that they conduct business. So that specific project are going to be only run by people of that specific department. And on the hierarchical functional structure, the relationships between leaders and employees are very clear, because you have lines of authorities. You have a project manager and you have all the different staff, and in that regard, you can have people who have positions in our organizations who are structures that are stable. Those will coexist with those specific units that were created to implement that specific project. This is one example, for example, when we think about hierarchical or functional organizational structure. As you can see here, you have here the idea you can see, you have different managers who are responsible for specific projects. For example, at the bottom of your, I'm not sure if you're left, but you can see Project B coordination. He's the functional manager who are going to be responsible, and he have his own staff who are going to work with him, right? And that's how the lines of authorities here, you can see that the lines of authority are very clear. You have different project managers that belong to different departments. Any questions, colleagues? Any clarifications? And another important thing that we need to remind ourselves when we think about hierarchical functional structure is there's quite a few or limited interaction between the different departments or units. And normally, functional structure we use when we have small projects, right? Small projects, because you don't really involve people with different other skills and from other areas or departments. So those are some of the characteristics when we think about hierarchical or functional structure, right? And the other one that we have, which is what we call project-based arrangements. Here, the idea here is you have, basically here, the idea is you have a project. Here, the project managers, they have a high level of authority. Why they have a high level of authority? Because you have the main project manager who he might have different other personnel working with them, like let's say head of departments, project officers, but the idea here is the project manager, he has a very huge level of authority, is a very good leader, and he's the one that is responsible to assign tasks for different departments that provide different functions for that specific project. If you have to look, for example, the different here on the hierarchical or functional, you have different functional managers. But if you go, I want to show, I'm trying to see, let me just share with you guys. I want to show, where is that? Okay. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I just want to show you guys a figure that this is the paper of Cristóbal and Diaz, the one that I showed you guys, the table that speaks about considerations that we need to have. So this is the table. Main factors affecting the form of project organizational structure. So you can go to that paper and you'll see. So as you can see, this is the table. This is an example of a functional project structure, right? So you have different project manager and they have different staff. So in different units, they are performing different projects. And you have here one example of a project, a pure project structure, right? And as you can see, here you have one managing director, and you have under him different other personal units. You have the project manager, and the project manager, he is the leader of different other activities. He is the one that is, he has under him the quality coordinator, for example. He has the health and safety coordinator. He has the engineer coordinator. So here, the project manager has a high authority role if you have to compare with the functional, which has different project manager, as you can see here. The project manager here on the functional project structure doesn't really have a very authoritative role, because you also have other different managers. You have the production manager, the finance manager, and you have the engineer manager. Those ones, they also have their power. which is not that great as if you have to go to the pure project structure, which the project manager has a very active role, and it's a very high leader that can oversee all those activities. And the other one that going back to my slides, sorry once again, guys, going back to my slides. So if you have to think about the project-based arrangements, some of the issues that might arise is if the project manager is unqualified than the functional manager, he might struggle to obtain staff or resources, right? Because he has a high power level than the different other personnel work in different units. This person needs to be very skilled, which is different from the functional or hierarchical. Here you can see that they're all almost all the same, on the same level, and they don't really need to engage with people from other departments. But here on the project structure, the project manager, they need to be very skilled, right? And if those units that people or project managers, they want to recruit staff, they are understaffed, they might also face issues to get the real people to work with them. So those are some of the issues. And besides those two, we have what we call the matrix organizational structure. So the matrix organization structure is the combination of the two, right? One, you have the hierarchical one, when you have different hierarchies of project managers belonging to different units with staffs, and you have on the other side the hierarchy of project-based structure, which gives more power to those project managers. So the matrix organization, it combines the two. It combines the two in a sense that we are talking here about thinking about big projects, for example. During this pandemic, we have projects like the COVID vaccine project. Those are very big projects that you engage different partners, you engage different stakeholders, you even engage different departments, not only within your organization, but with other organizations. So here you have different managers. It won't be easy for you to say, oh, this one here it's my staff member and I'm the boss, because you have different departments, you have different leaders responsible for specific tasks, and this is one example here, for example, of matrix organizational structure. Think here about project A, for example. As you can see on project A, you might have people that you took. You have people, for example, from the production group. You have people from the finance group. You have people from the marketing group. You have people from the personal group. All those people belonging to different organizations. All those people belonging to different departments. They're gonna be part of the same project. And as you can see here, it's a combination of what we call the hierarchical or functional structure and the project structure. So that's what matrix organizational structure is. Any comments, colleagues, clarifications? Any comments on the slides? Any clarifications? Yes, colleagues?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
I hear you. And I understand that matrix it's combine these two other
Yeah.
different structures, which is functional and a pure project. So matrix it's like a big structure. So I understand it clear.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. That's the idea around a matrix organization structure. Here we are dealing with those very big projects that you're going to involve different stakeholders. Those projects that you partner with different other organizations, and in those different projects, you don't have a very clear line of report because everyone is a boss. Imagine you cannot call your colleague from other organization and scream and shout because he is delaying to submit a specific report, right? Because you guys have kind of the same level of responsibilities, right? That's the idea around, and remember here and normal because different people are working. Those same people they might be working in a specific project, but on the same time they have different other responsibilities in their own units or departments, right? So that's what matrix organizational structure is. Any more queries, questions, colleagues? Okay. So this is one example, as you can see. Uh, so if you have to think about, this is not really important. Here, I think I won't go through this because you guys are going to discuss this with Dr. Emma, specifically about sustainable development principles and stuff. So I won't go through this in detail. When you think about organizational structures, it's also important to think about what we call organization cultures and style. And as I was saying, we work with people, right? People are different. We have different background. We have different beliefs. We have different expectation. And so when we realize that it's important, excuse me, it's important that the leadership in those projects, they can understand all those different values, norms, and beliefs so that people, when they engage, they can engage in a very effective manner without prejudice, right? So those are the ideas around organizational culture and style because it's very, very important, right? And another issue that we need to consider when we think about organizational culture is we need to really motivate as a project manager the personnel that work with us, because we don't want the motivated people in those positions performing activities that are crucial for the success of our project. Because if people feel that they don't have control of the teams that they do, and they don't have support from their bosses, there's a likelihood that the work will suffer, right? And also we spoke here about leadership, and how it's important when we design our organizational structure to have committed leaders with project management skills, right? Those skills are very important for project management leaders, because if you don't have committed leaders, our projects can also suffer, and they won't be delivered on time and within the budget and the accepted quality that was planned by the stakeholders. So some of the other issues that we might face when we speak about organizational structure is the lack of some of those skills, and we spoke about that, and how it's important to recruit people who are skilled to conduct those tasks. It's important also to identify the relevant tools, softwares that we are going to use to conduct our work, right? And remember what we say about some of the characteristics of a modern project management, and all those tools are also important to guarantee that the organizational structure is effective and can support the organization to perform their activities effectively, right? And when we think about organizational structures, one of the important issues that we need to consider also is to establish what we call the project management office, right? The project management office is that office that will oversee all the implementation of the projects that we are trying to conduct.
Colleagues?
I think we've lost him again.
Projects, right? They are going to assist what are the right projects that we need to implement, so that can promote the vision and the mission of that specific organization, right? They need to focus on achieving the strategic objectives of those organizations. The project management office is the one that are going to assist the organization to identify and get the necessary finance and material assistance that they need so that they can complete their project on time. Those are the project management office also is the one that are going to support the project during the initiation and the planning stage. They are going to collect and analyze all those different data that the project will acquire during the implementation. And you guys can see more of this in our prescribed book. So what are some of the challenge of those PMOs or project management office, right? So some of those challenge we might have, for example, big organizations that might have difficult to coordinate resources and schedules and to apply a consistent methodology, right? And again, skill shortage, right? Skill shortage can really make things bad for our projects and ultimately affect the outcome or the delivery of the products for our beneficiaries, right? Sometimes organizations are like to lose institutional memory, and when projects finish and steering committees are dissolved. So in most of the case, remember, the projects, they can be temporary activities, sometimes 1 year, 6 months, 2 years, but somehow if those organizations doesn't have a good record system, very crucial information can be lost, and that information would actually be used for future projects, right? So those are some of the challenge that we can see. There's other challenge that can come based on those challenges, which is lack of organization, learning, and projects, which, because of the lack of record of those different activities and things that were happening in the project, they might not have been ready to conduct the activities properly. So another important issue I think that we can talk about is what we call project governance. Can someone share with us what we understand by project governance before I continue? Anyone, colleagues? Any questions from what I was saying before? Yes, colleagues? Yes, colleagues? Are we together?
Yes, we are.
Yes,
any idea about project governance, what we really understand by project governance, and why it's important to talk about project governance? You can give us some examples from your own professional experience. Any ideas, colleagues? Go. Go. Are you there, Go? Go. Days. Days. Days, are you there, Days? Yes, colleagues?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please. Any ideas? Can you give us your beautiful comment about the beauty of project governance and why it's important, special when we know that things have been very hectic. You know, people are getting more rich and richer because of people's, you know. Yes, please. Okay, colleagues, I think the idea about project governance, I think it's a very important, especially when we think about organizational structure. At the beginning, when we design our organizational structure, we really need to pay attention to the board of our project governance, because we don't want situations that we waste money, right? We don't want situations that our beneficiaries didn't get what they were promised to, right? We don't want situations where the morale of our staff are very low because they feel that they have been work and the outcomes of their work were not really achieved. We don't want situations where the reputation of our organization have been ruined because of actions of specific people. We are not saying everyone. So project governance, it's important because it helps us to maintain things on check, right? It helps us to really conduct things in an ethical manner, right? It helps us to make sure that the budget that we plan to allocate to specific projects, they are going to really be spent on those specific projects. It will make us as staff and of that project feel proud, and so project government, it's a very crucial, and it's one of the bodies or lines of authorities that can really make the project be success or can make the project be unsuccessful, right? So it's very important. So when we think about project governments, we have what we call, for example, project steering committees, right? Ideally, steering committees, those are the committees that they oversee medium to large projects, so that those projects, as I explained, they can be implemented in a very effective manner, and it will make sure that the project outcomes can really be achieved, right? And in the project steering committee, we will have people from different activities or stakeholders that can be part of those projects. For example, we can have external auditors, we can have consultants as part of those steering committees. We can have partners from other organizations who can also be part of those project steering committees, so that those people will oversee the activities of each of the people who are involved in those specific project, right? So, for example, here we have one figure that shows us how a project steering committee will look like. You have people on the board, and you can see here you have people from different all different stakeholders. You have donors, for example, on the board. You have the senior officials from the supplier service also on the board, and you have different people from different stakeholders, and those people, they have to conduct their activities in a very ethical manner. So let's talk in details about some of those responsibilities of steering committees. Remember, the steering committees are part of the project governance committees, right? So they are responsible for the feasibility of the project and the achievement of the outcomes. They ensure that the scope of the project are aligned with the strategic objectives. Because remember, everything that we do in our organizations, they need to be aligned with that specific organization strategic objectives. If we say we are going to deliver bananas, we cannot deliver orange and be involved in citrus and things like that, because that's not the scope of our organization. So all the different projects that we are going to be involved is going to be aligned with our strategic objectives. And our strategic objective might be, for example, we want to be the leaders in the production and distribution of all those different banana products, such as jams and stuff. And you'll see that the projects that will come will be aligned with your specific objectives, right? So steering committees, they will ensure that the resources are allocated, because especially when we think about the high cases of corruptions that we face, that can show us how it's important to have a very effective steering committee. Any comments on that, colleagues? Okay. And one of the important roles that we might have when we think about the project steering committee is the role of the project sponsor or director, right? Who are going to be responsible for the finance and all the operational management of the project in behalf of the project owner or the group that decide to create that specific project, right? And some of the roles that you can find when you think about project sponsor roles and responsibilities is to prepare the project brief and the business case, and coordinate all the activities with the client input. He needs to make sure that the risks of the project failing are also assessed. They need to manage the budget and so on. So this is a very authoritative and a leadership role that needs to be assigned to a very skilled person. So in conclusion, what we can say is we need to have a clear interface between an organization and projects, right? In a sense that everything that is the project procedure, everything that was already done should be aligned and use to the benefit of that project. And the specific projects that we need to implement, those also need to be in line with the organizational structure of that specific project. If we have a small project, for example, we might say, okay, maybe the right and appropriate organizational structure that this specific project should be using perhaps is the hierarchical or functional, right? Because if we use the hierarchical or functional, we have better chances of achieving success of the project. And of course, we said here that there's a proven benefits of a project-based approach, right? Project-based approach, we said here, it gives us reputation, it improve the system and the procedures of organization, because organization needs to be ready to cater for the client needs, right? And we also spoke about the role of project management office and how their roles and responsibilities are important to ensure the integration of project practice within the existing organizational process, right? So PMUs are very important, and also we should remind ourselves that organizations should develop guidelines for the effective governance of projects, and think about our country and how many corruption cases came out during this pandemic stage. Even before, we are still facing corruption cases, all right? But during pandemic times, when our people were still struggling and even having a worse life than before, never seen, we had a quite number of corruption cases, and it makes someone wonders, how is the government system, how was the government system of those specific places, right? So I think for today, guys, those are the issues that I wanted to discuss with you guys. If you have any questions, comments, if you want some clarifications from my slides, I can go back. And I think for today, that's what I wanted to share with you. My apologies for the video. I promise that tomorrow I will make sure that our video has sound. And thank you for your time. And yeah, if you have comments, questions, I'm open.
I don't have any question, but it's a compliment. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it was clear, even though it sounds like it's a lot of work, but now we able to understand, like on my side, are able to understand what make our projects fails and a lot of corruption. I think it's clear that it's because of a poor leadership skills. That is where all is started. Yeah. So
yes.
because all this, if you see projects, actually it needs someone who have skills and knowledge and who is willing to achieve what it's supposed to achieve. What we see now happen, people are not willing to achieve anything, but they are willing to feed their own pockets. Yeah, it is clear.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think it's very important what you are saying, because I think when you think about professional ethical and values and how that would help actually us having a better organizational structure to deal with those challenges, if we really have thought about embrace those professional values, I think yeah, the leadership is it's something very critical, and I think you are
Yeah,
right.
because
And anymore, yeah.
everything is that on the top management.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely,
So that
definitely.
is where is all started. So
Mm-hmm.
we can't control anything at the lower level.
Yes,
Cause even
definitely, definitely.
yeah, cause even if they do those tender bidding, they are one who
Mm-hmm.
recruit people, so they know that they
Exactly.
should take people who have resources, who have
Mm-hmm.
skills.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no complaint. It was a
Definitely.
nice
Okay, thank you.
emotions. Okay.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Anyone else?
Afternoon.
Yeah.
It's not a comment, but
Hi.
hello, hello.
Yes.
I
Yes,
just
well, I'm
want,
listening.
I just want us maybe to go to the. You talk about the PMOs. So I think
Okay.
if you can take us back to that slide, maybe I'm the only one who missed a point somewhere there.
Okay, let me
I don't
go back to
understand.
the PMO.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Okay. Here are the slides. Mm-hmm.
I just want you to maybe to just explain further on that on that slide. That's why I'm saying maybe I'm the only one who missed something.
This one here. Okay. Basically, here what we are saying here is project management office. Think about a specific department that are going to be responsible to oversee, not really oversee as a governance, but are going to guide the implementation of those specific projects, right? So that the project can be run in an effective way. And here, for example, if you have to look on this slide here, clearly shows some of the tasks that can be done in that specific office, such as making sure that the organization can get the necessary budget. If you have to implement a project, what we are saying here is that specific office, for example, are going to be the one who are going to source funds and apply for funds to implement projects, and they are going to so everything that is related to the implementation and management of that project is going to be at the end of the people who are going to be working on the project management office, which is totally different from, for example, when you think about the project steering committees, because what the project steering committees, those have like a governance, like a watchdog kind of role, right? Whereas the project management office, they have more like an implementation role of activities that are related to the project, right? I don't know if it makes sense or if you need any more clarifications. Like, for example, I have here, in the case of South Africa, for example, we have what we call, one example is the example of the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, which creates project management units, right? So those project management units are similar to that idea of project management office, right? So that every municipality out there can have capacities to manage their project. So those project management office in our reality of South Africa, you can think about what we call. I'm sure that at your place of work you have similar kind of setups. And that's what we call project management units. Those are the units that are going to be responsible. And that unit, of course, it's also the one that is responsible to create or design that organizational structure that your project needs. And remember, the organizational structure sometimes can be more regular depending on the project. Let's say if you have a continuous project and sometimes you might not have a need to change people working on the same project, but sometimes those units also can change based on the needs of specific projects. So I'm not sure if it's clear or I need to say anything else.
It's clear. It's only that I was
Okay,
trying
thank you.
to align that presentation with the projects that we are doing in the office. So there is some differences. So that's why maybe I was lost.
Okay, so at your place of work, do you guys have a specific unit that is responsible for the management of all the different projects? How it works? Can you share with us your experience?
In our unit, we have the chief director, who is the accounting officer, and then the chief director will have the directors to say this is director operations. This director operations deals with all the projects, and then we will have director assurance, and we will have a director IT. So what will happen here is that all the projects are facilitated within the directorate, which is led by the director operations. Finance is there to support. And then quality assurance also is there to support in a way that all the projects that we submit to the minister, they need to be checked by quality assurance, because when we say that we have finalized the project, it means that we submit a submission to the minister to say that, Minister, we want you now to release this land on behalf of this community. That's how we run our project. Yes.
So I think, like for example, what you are saying is you have a project management unit there, and as you explained, you have different, let's say, sub departments and sub roles of people with different tasks. That all those tasks somehow they intend to make sure that all your projects in your institutions can be run in a very effective way. So I think it's not different from what we are saying here, right? Because sometimes we are not saying that it's gonna be only one department with one person. It's about that set that is created within your organization that will make sure that all those lines of authorities and those lines of responsibilities are clear, and we know if you have to think about project management office in your specific institution, we know where to go. who are the people that we need to go, how, you know. And I think that's the idea. It doesn't necessarily mean that in all the organizations, those will be set on the same type of format, right? And I think that's what you guys need to understand. It's the same thing of looking on project governance and the government's body of our project. In specific projects, you might have a different setup in a different other project, but the idea also is always about finding the right people that can be in those very relevant positions, right? Yeah, that's the idea. Anything else, colleagues? Any more clarifications? Any more comments before we go?
Yes, Mr. It's Kuku here. I don't have any questions.
Yes.
Yes, I understood everything and it is clear. And it was very interesting to see, yes, the factors affecting the form of the organizational structures, because I think it is very important to note, especially when we're initiating the projects, to consider those factors, because like Uzandi has said, most of the projects are influenced by politics, which then just hinders, you know, the projects and as well as the end results of what the project aims to achieve. So I think it is very important to note, you know, when we formulate the projects, to note the form of the organizational structures and ensuring that we actually have people who have good leadership qualities, who have qualifications to lead, you know, the projects, and not just pick and take anybody influenced by the politics, especially in the sphere of local government. It's very important.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yes.
That's interesting.
Thank you, guys. And thank you, Google. Any more comments? Why only ladies? We have where are the men in this group? We know that the world is run by ladies lately, but we would like to hear some men's voice here. My fellow comrades.
It's women's man.
Yes. Huh?
He's the breadwinner at home, so they are scared.
Yes, comrades, I can hear you. Someone was talking, right?
We're giving the ladies an opportunity. It's women's man.
Community or in the
Oh, that makes sense actually. We just celebrate their day, and happy Women's Days to the ladies of this group. And I hope that you guys have been given the love that you deserve during this August. Nah, that's my hope. And I believe that my colleagues also, the men's colleagues, also share the same opinion. And thank you so much. I think if we don't have anything else, unless you guys have, we're gonna meet again tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to talk about project management knowledge areas. And I will give you guys more details about our assignment tomorrow. So I think for now, thank you for your time. I know that you guys are working. Just enjoy the rest of your day. And I will upload some of the materials also on Moodle today so that you guys can access.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you guys, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Say bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye.